the only rule change that hasn't happened yet, and I have been asking for it for a long time,
Here comes the
is
juice.
is
Give us
taking
the
that
juice, Rick.
danger rule, that applies at college and applying it to high school. Our high school rules, even with the changes, have still not caught up to the wrestling. Wrestlers are better. They're better than they've ever been technically and athletically, and the fact that we can still allow a high school wrestler to get in and do the Abbas roll and then just sit there knowing he can't get out or she can't get out. They are stuck there because of what the action that their opponent has done. And here's how it started. So you started with we're all attacking, right? You're leg attacking, and then the Abbas roll comes in, and it's called a variety of things, but I'm going to give credit where I think credit's due to those guys. And the whole idea behind the Abbas roll was to counter the leg attack. And then the offensive wrestler says, okay, I'm going to counter your counter by holding you there. And the other wrestler is going, all right, now I'm not just going to Abbas roll for the purpose of stopping your leg attack. I'm going to do it for the purpose of scoring. So now you ended up with what they call spaghetti wrestling or scrambling, whatever it is. And you've got this, and now the guy that took the original shot is now countering the Abbas roll and has figured out how to half with his leg, hold him in danger, and the guy can't go, the wrestler can't go anywhere. And
Yeah.
but we're giving credit to the defensive wrestler in essence that is just sitting on that in criteria, getting pinned, but he knows he can sit, but
So,
they still won't change it.
so Rick, let's go back to that match with Mejia and the kid from Selma in the finals at state. Remember, it was that situation. If that was college rules, would the Selma kid won? He would have scored there, right?
Well,
You remember that?
he would have either scored or at least would have had an opportunity to score because now the onus is on would have been on the other kid, but he had to get out of it.
Yeah.
But
It
he didn't
makes the
have to.
wrestler think twice to hit that. Okay, if I'm going to be able to hit that to counter it, I better be able to get my back out of exposure to actually continue the action instead of wait there for a stalemate call. So yeah, that's a rule that would be phenomenal. I would be all for it. I don't know. Obviously, Brian, you being the only true high school coach here in the podcast, like, are you okay with that? Would you be okay with that rule coming in with that danger in any position?
So one of the things that we spend actually a good amount of time on is not necessarily an Abbas roll, but we call it a crunch position or like a body cradle, where we go whether it's from a head inside or a head outside, we go elbow behind their knee, and then we lock across their chest, and then our other elbow is kind of near their armpit. And we got in that situation actually. You're not supposed to do this, but from bottom, one of our kids should have just kept kicking out, but instead he turned and wrestled back in, and the guy was more or less kind of in a low single position, and we got to that crunch position and rolled him through. Well, the referee at first is like, wait, he's on bottom.
He's on
his
bottom.
back.
Yeah.
But the other kid is like, we established that we have an arm. We have our knees pinching the other guy's arm together. We have elbow deep at the knee, and then we're squeezing tight. And like the other kid can't get off his back. So that's criteria now, in my opinion, for reversal and then now near fall. Sorry, I need to do this.
And
I'm
you're
in
right.
freestyle mode right now. But
And you
so
and you I'm sorry.
but with back point or with just
Danger?
for that sequence for danger, it wouldn't technically be danger because he's on bottom, right? It's not a neutral position. But I think just expanding on that, because personally, like, we teach that position and it's still so new. Like I competed a year ago, and I got in that position, and it took like however long. Like, I have this guy on his back right now. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I've established, it's just because it's different, and I think it's just going to take, like you said, I think time for refs to see it. and be able to apply for it for that rule to be effective. And I think whenever there's any kind of rule changes, whether it's the danger count or the rules that are establishing, I think officially this year, right? It's like that's just going to take time for people to figure out.
Well, and again, to my point earlier, I mean, look what you're teaching and coaching. You're teaching and coaching technique, and that continues to move wrestling in that direction, but the rules aren't moving in that direction. We haven't caught up with all of the creativity that's come out of this. And
well, it's a college thing, right? It's like I'm doing college, like a college skill or a college technique, but at high school, it's like I think it works actually better in terms of being able to create the scoring action, but it's not necessarily being called yet because it's still newer on a high school level.
Well, and I'll be the first. There are too many rules in college wrestling for officials. I just think it's a little convoluted at this point. There's so many rules at the college level, and what I hate to hear, and I hear this every time I have this conversation, is, oh, that'll be too difficult a call for an official to make. I go, well, then why are they officiating at that level?
100%.
I mean,
these guys are solid, Rick.
We have to grow with it, but so force us to be as uncomfortable as the kids are being and the coaches are being. Challenge us just as any wrestler and team and coach is being challenged to come up with an answer, a technique to beat anybody. And so, yeah, I've just been a starch advocate of that, but it just falls on deaf ears. But we got these new rules in place, so in a matter of time, we hopefully we'll get that in place too.